Happy to do both of those.
Okay,
Mr.
so are you both happy to? Okay, you want to second that one,
I'd
Councillor
like to
Penny?
second that one.
You would like to second it?
Yes.
Okay, all right, we can split it around and share up the love. All right, okay, now speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Councillor Penny
Can
W.
definitely, I know it is a very difficult situation because we need landfills and we certainly need them with the rate of growth. But as the officers have said, you know, there are some real issues with landfills, and you only have to look at areas like Red Hills and areas at the back of Kumu, Blackridge Road, where people are really scared because of the number of trucks, etc., that are going down those roads. There are some issues. So it really needs to be a non-complying activity because it needs to be notified. It needs to be all the issues that go with non-complying. So I absolutely support this, and I gave it a big red tick.
Big red tick.
Everyone's red today.
Oh, it should have been a pink tick.
Red is
sorry.
the colour.
Or yellow.
Yeah, or purple. Right, okay, we've got Councillor Penny H, yes, and then Councillor Wayne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yep, happy to support both of these. I think they make a huge amount of sense. The first one, and out of respect to my colleague here on the left, and apologise for the slightly heated exchange, I think the random subdivision in our future urban zones just doesn't make sense, and I think this just puts a measure of sensibility around that, and I think the recommendation here is sensible, and for anyone who's lived next to a landfill, as I have, I think every care needs to be taken for the way that we manage these. So, and while we all talk about what we've worn and the choices of clothing today, I've got my black leather jacket for West Auckland on, the home of landfills.
West is best.
So I think these are very
out
sensible
politics.
recommendations.
Activists
Right,
anti-landfill.
Right, Councillor Wayne.
I can't speak strongly enough on this, and I support the two previous speakers. As a Rodney councillor, I was familiar with any number of cleanful landfills over the years, many of them very poorly operated. Often you've got shonky operators. The people who live in the vicinity of these cleanful landfills have their lives turned upside down. They can't sell their properties devalue significantly. They put up with noise from early in the morning until often late at night, sometimes 7 days a week, dust, excessive truck movements. And if you look at the future urban areas, these areas are already compromised by people in lifestyle situations and countryside living. So this should definitely be non-compliant.
Okay, Councillor Cam.
Oh, I think Callum, you were first, wouldn't you?
No, I've got you, Councillor Cam. There you go.
I just want to I agree with the changes there around slowing down the potential fragmentation of future urban zones, which would have made it harder to, achieve a good urban outcome. I might have missed something in the last debate, but I suppose in November, Ms. Pirrett, we signed off the future final urban land strategy plan, the sequential rollout of future urban land. And for example, Dairy Flat, and that's a big piece of yellow now, on the western side of that northern motorway, past the BP there opposite Snow Planet. My question around that, I've lost it now. It's coming. That's why I wanted Callum to go first. My question is...
I see, you're actually thinking as we go. This is good. This is an iterative process.
Come back to him. I'll jump in.
Councillor.
Yeah, Callum jumps in.
Yeah. Look, we'll have part B soon. Councillor Carl.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. And look, I do have concerns about these recommendations. I've sat around this table for the last 5.5 years, and I've raised it on numerous occasions. Landfill sites in particular, are absolutely fundamental to build Auckland.
Yes,
If I look in the south in the coming months ahead, October, when the bulk of the SHAs will start, we are going to be struggling to relocate that soil. Absolutely struggling. There's going to be a proliferation of soil across Auckland. And where does it go? In full. And it's a process and times. Now, I have also said around this table that maybe council should be identifying sites across
Yes,
Auckland.
I've said that too.
Council identifying sites across Auckland, and then going through the process and then contracting it out.
Yep.
And it's a better way to go. But I have concerns about these recommendations, but
Just for clarity, this is about landfills, not clean fills. So clean fills have a different activity status. So they're discretionary activity in the future urban zone, and we're not recommending to reject that. This is about landfills, which are rubbish,
Yeah.
a nice name for rubbish
non-recycled
dumps, I think.
but yeah, absolutely. But the stuff that can't go to cleanfill sites has got to go there. That's the issue.
Yep, and while Councillor Cam is still collecting his line of thought,
it's come back to me, Mr. Chair.
I'll jump in right now.
I might lose it again.
I'm sure you won't. Make notes. This is a core part of our business. Landfills, because it's at the heart of what we do with rubbish at the moment. We either recycle or we landfill it, and or it goes through to the Mangere Sewerage Centre. And so if we're not doing it, then we're in complete and total breach of our responsibility. So one way or another, we've either established the landfills around Auckland or we own them in terms of the supply that's coming into them substantively. And so we need to be very careful about how we manage the development of our landfills going forward, because they are going to become increasingly difficult for us to manage within our fast-growing urban environment.
Yep.
And so all this does is recognise that. And the second thing is that I suspect, if not next term but the following term, we're going to have to make some really hard decisions about how we manage our rubbish and waste stream outside of landfills, because we're not going to be able to consent landfills going forward into the future. It will run hard up against things such as our commitments to reducing global warming, carbon. Okay, so we've got issues there that we need to address, and we're addressing them appropriately through this type of recommendation. And I suspect this council in the years ahead will make some type of commitment to changing from landfills to waste energy. So all this does is recognise the challenges of actually managing these types of facilities in an urban environment. If you move them too far out of the city, the costs are prohibitive. So, this is us putting our smart heads over what the IHP have done and just recognising here are some community realities. So, Councillor Cowell, look, I mean, I agree with most everything of what you say here, but there's nothing to be afraid of by this. It's just preserving, what are our realities, and ensure that our community and their interests, wherever we decide to put these, if we set them up, are appropriately protected. Now, as a soon-to-be resident in Karaka, I'm very mindful of this. In fact, I might even declare an interest. How about that, Madam Chair? Okay, Councillor Cam, back to you.
Well, just on the future urban zone, I suppose my question is around, we're talking about policy matters here, and I hear what you're saying about pushing back on the fragmentation of land, but I suppose I want a clear understanding of what actual policy secures that sequential rollout of future urban zones as we agreed to in November, i.e. how are we going to hold Dairy Flat from increasingly becoming urban, from 2032? Is it because the structure plan process is enshrined that needs to happen before any urbanisation of Dairy Flat can be triggered? So, i.e., until there is a structure plan, Dairy Flat will retain as it is until it's rolled out in the first half of the 2030s?
So the future urban land supply strategy is a separate strategy of council. It is not in the unitary plan, and that was a considered decision by this council so that you can monitor the uptake of land in the future urban areas and change the sequencing as capacity or funding becomes available for the bulk infrastructure. In terms of how do we make sure that the future urban land is developed according to the timetabling and that strategy. We can do that in two ways. One is about when the council decides to undertake structure planning, and we've already commenced structure planning in the Whenua Pai area because that was in the first decade, and that's a very large scale structure planning exercise, not on a site by site basis, where the community and landowners are involved in discussions with the council and the wider council family. So one way is to be always ahead of capacity by making sure that the structure planning is done in advance of that need. But the provisions that the panel have recommended around private plan changes, etc., still would mean somebody could come into a future urban zone in the future and apply for a private plan change to rezone their area ahead of that scheduling. But then the council does have the ability to look to that strategy as guidance. There are funding mechanisms that they might want to entertain, or they might actually agree that that's a good place to rezone the land. So you will have a number of mechanisms in place. It's not they're just not always in the unitary plan.
So with good reason, the rollout could happen ahead of what our November strategy proposed.
Okay, Councillor Sharon, and then I think we'll put this to the vote.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's been covered, but I think it is really important that we do manage where the landfills are going. And I know that you'll remember in 1985, I think it was 1985, Greenmount,
That's it.
when the ICI
Spill,
fire,
yeah.
some of the nastiest toxic waste in the country is actually buried in there. And we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of containers of the nastiest toxic waste. And I know all about it.
I knew you were going to speak about that.
That's right. So anyway, we need to be very mindful. Thank you.
Okay, look, we've got 3 recommendations here, councillors, and then a final wash-up. Well, 4, it's actually A, B, C and D. So we'll put A and B. Do you want us to put them as a group?
Separately, I want to vote against A.
Yeah, me
Well, I want my vote recorded against A.
A and B go together, so we'll put A and B together. All right, so all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Right, note that. And
Don't
C
go together.
and D, they go together. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Thanks for that. And the last one, the wash-up for topic 028. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
I'll move it in a second. I move it, and Councillor Penny H seconds. Right, it's done. Okay, right, we're on